and ex-prisoners are important and are capable of change. We believe in reclaiming our citizens and investing them back into a culture that embraces healing and restoration.
We believe
in reintegration.
Love it.
We recently just did this commercial, and actually everyone in there is someone that works at the office, and a couple of them were actually our clients that were in the commercial as well. We try to get our clients involved in everything that we do. We give presentations. Okay, the Muscogee Nation Reintegration Program, it started back in 2005. Tony Fish, our case manager, or our manager at the time, started out as what I am, a case manager. And he pretty much built, they had only about 3 people that were working in the office at the time. And what we do is, the mission of the reintegration program is to protect the public by offering quality reentry services to the Muscogee citizens and try to reinvest positive citizens back into our communities. Our prisoner reentry is the introduction of prisoners back into society. We intend to create safer streets for our citizens, restoration of the person, and the atmosphere of healing and forgiveness. It begins at inception. We will discuss more of this as we go along in the presentation. How incarceration affects our community, our people. It's one of the things that I am actually a facilitator for victims impacted and looking for a change in the prison systems. And this is one of the biggest challenges is having someone else understand the impact that incarceration does affect on others. So we do teach exactly that, how it affects the family members, friends, loved ones, victims, even taxpayers, citizens, and it affects them physically and emotionally. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the victim's impact and the need for a change. The programs like that, they've really gotten into the probation and parole board is now recommending a lot of the offenders take those before release. So we do offer that into the prison system. Our belief statements is that every citizen, even an ex-prisoner, is important. That every citizen is capable of change to become positive, productive citizens. That every citizen is an investment in the nation's strength and sovereignty. And that through our efforts we can reclaim our citizens and restore them back into a culture that embraces healing and restoration of the person. Incarceration. Oklahoma has been the #1 state for incarceration for women for 18 years now, and the 3rd leading state for incarceration for men. Tony does a really good job at this and usually elaborates a lot more on this part of it.
This right here,
Yes.
everybody knows what happened in 1980.
Is that the 8% crimes?
War on drugs.
Yeah.
This is when this is in the United States. There was less than 500,000 people incarcerated in the United States at this time. And from 1980 until now, or actually 2006 right there, there's a 444% increase in incarceration in America. Some of the, most of it is the war on drugs, which we all know is very racially biased. You have crack cocaine for African Americans, rate. The incarceration rate for Native Americans in Oklahoma is a lot bigger than other states, but that's mainly we have a higher population of Native Americans here than what we would in a reservation state, because we don't have reservations, we have just nations, but it's a broad land base. 1 in every 6 adult males in Oklahoma is a convicted felon. 1 out of every 12 people from birth to death is a convicted felon in Oklahoma. And that's an astounding number. It's unbelievable how we do folks here.
With the Muscogee Nation, with our program, what we're trying to do is help our citizens actually get back into the community with a positive outlook in life, and to be able to pretty much prove themselves that they can be able to do this, and to show others that they are able to do this and capable of change. One of the things that I will let Daryl talk about this is the ANARA, the Oklahoma Native American Reentry Alliance, that we have started.
Yeah, a while back there was a non-native group, for-profit, I won't name them, but they're in Oklahoma, that was calling all the tribes together and wanting us to pay them a fee. When we come together, we were like, you know what, we're doing all this stuff anyway. Why don't we just form our own group? And then the 5 civilized tribes started coming together quarterly. And then in every group that we went to, employment training, every housing, the main issue was, how do we help felons? How do we help formerly incarcerated people? How do we do this? So we wrote a resolution, went before our council, this is all the tribes, to have a standalone reintegration work group. That passed, so now we get to meet every quarter there. We came back, and then we have Citizen Potawatomi, we have the Comanche, we have different tribes that are not included in the quarterly 5 civilized tribes groups. So then that's when we decided to form the ONARA, which is the Oklahoma Native American Reentry Alliance. So we got at-large members, we have a chair, a vice chair, and we also meet quarterly just to keep everybody updated on current events, grants that are available. We're a very non-competitive group between one another. In fact, Tony has allowed his grant writer to visit with our grant writer in order for our tribe to be able to compete for certain grants that are available and give us technical assistance as well. But our casinos are nice. They may try to compete against one another, trying to get people in, but our goal is a common goal, and that's to help formerly incarcerated citizens be reintegrated back into society.
This is the part that I actually come into play within the reintegration, because I am a case manager. We have a total of 4 case managers of the program. And we have 2 case aides that help along with anything that us case managers would need. We have the one thing that a person is needing once they are released are the life-sustaining needs, which are housing. Our housing, how we do that is it's 4 months of housing. We do try to get it conducted to the mental and physical well-being once they are finished, because it's a 4-month program. So that means we do help with any kind of deposits that they may need to have. The first and last month's rent, we will do the 4 months of rent also. But we also try to get them into something that once they are on their own, that they can be able to sustain themselves. The second one is clothing. A lot of times whenever they are released also, they do not have anything besides what they leave with, what they have on their backs. I had actually a girl that came out, one of my clients, and she still had the inmate written on her back, on her shirt. That's the only clothing that she had. So we do clothing. How the clothing works is we give them $300 in clothing, try to, when we take them actually shopping, and we show them how exactly to shop. We ask that they get like collared shirts, some dress clothes for the workplace, so that way whenever they do interviews, we let them get a pair of tennis shoes, any kind of shoes that they may need. And if they need work clothing, that's on top of the clothing part that they would have to have a letter on letterhead stating that they need these items, such as like work boots, steel-toe boots. A lot of guys that come through our office need steel-toe boots. And we just have them get it on letterhead. If they have a job already in place, then we have that, and we go and provide that for them also. One of the other needs is grocery assistance. We do have an emergency pantry at the office, so that way if it's late in the evening and we can't go to the grocery store, because we have purchase orders that at certain stores that we can go to, and if a client comes in late and we can't get their items for them, we have an emergency pantry that we give them. The amount of groceries is $175 to get them started. After that, we make sure that they are set up with some kind of food assistance, either it be commodities, food stamps, whatever they may need in order to continue with grocery assistance. We help them with the medical, and this right here is kind of a hard one because they come through, and the first thing when we do the intake, we ask them, is there any need for behavioral health? And more than likely, they're going to tell us no, because they don't think a lot of times they have problems. But we do start asking questions to see if they have a substance abuse problem in any way, how long has it been since they've used. Depending on those questions right there, we make sure, like as a case manager, I make them call right there while they're in the office, behavioral health, and make the appointment, because behavioral health won't speak with me directly about them. So they set the appointments up. Did you have a question?
Yeah, is there a culturally appropriate residential treatment center here?
Actually, right now, we are having to go out of our tribal system, besides like a road rehab or behavioral health or CREOs. Those are the only things right now that we have.
So that's state?
Yes,
Oh,
And private.
and private.
but it means.
Those are, private or the state is what we're having to go through right now. And hopefully that changes before too long, that we can have our own program.
What modalities are they utilizing?
They don't do sweat lodge or anything, it's basically AA and NA. The only time they get exposed to the white buffalo or the medicine wheel is when the creeks are able to go in and facilitate those with them. We also have a fellow reentry guy named Paul, and he's a Kyle, he works for Citizen Potawatomi here in Oklahoma. And he takes it, he does a sweat. He's able to go into the prisons and offer these services, especially the ones that are located near his home. It's difficult because the prisons are spread out so dispersely through the state that it's hard to be able to
Meet the round?
yeah, some of them are way up there in the Panhandle where there's nothing at all. Not even any tribes, and it's a 6-hour drive for me to go from my house there. I'm heading there Thursday and Friday to do a graduation ceremony for these guys, but it's some of them are so dispersed that it's hard to really be able to get in and do the things that we need to do. Well, we do have powwows. We'll have traditional foods one time a year where we come in, different things like that. But they actually, the Creeks are real good about going in and offering the counseling, and also on the spiritual aspect of it, they're able to bring in the Native American programs as well. They have enough. You're going to hear me talk in a second, but when you listen to them talk, you need to listen to how powerful Segment of Chickasaws. They have hired staff of about 15 each that are dedicated strictly towards reentry. Whereas I've had to network within the programs that I'm the director over to compile a program together. They get $1 million a year just to fund their program through their gaming dollars. You know, and then grants on top of that. They built a 32-bed facility. I'm trying to.
No, go ahead.
I talk about it more than they do, I think, sometimes. But they've recently built a 32-bed facility. I don't know how soon it's going to open, but.
We're hoping groundbreaking in November.
And it is the first that I know of, built from ground up in America, especially with Native American emphasis. But they're going to be able to help any tribal member, I think, at that particular
It's at the
transitional living center. Certain things has to be spent strictly on creeks, but this is going to be any Native American facility.
So it's basically 12-step right now.
I don't even think it's 12. Well, in the state, I'm sorry, back to, in the state rehabs, yes. It's strictly A&A, you know. Now, some of them may offer thinking for a change, MRT, moral recreation therapy, or different things like that that are evidence-based. But once you start doing that, that's another cost because you got to pay for a facilitator to come in A&A's free. And it's a basic 12-step principle, you know.
What rates of recidivism or am I getting ahead of myself?
Probably
address that later.
I'm going to also, but I think that there are about people, out of 51, 49 have stayed out of prison, 17 received full-time employment. A bunch are still in vocational training to get employment. But I've only had 2 go back, which is a 96% success rate.
Is that over a year?
That's over 1 year, a little over than a year so far.
And ours is about exactly the same. The reentry classes that we do, these are some of the things that, you know, the thinking for a change, the victim's impact, finance and budgeting, relationships, job coaching, and volunteering. These right here, whenever we do get a client, they are required to take 2 weeks. We call them life skills classes that they are to take at the office. How we do this is if they have no way of getting back and forth to the office for these 2 weeks classes, we put them up in a hotel in Henrietta so that way and have transportation for them. These classes are about 1 hour to 2 hours a day that they are to attend to. These are some of the classes also that we provide inside the prison systems. Also, the thinking for a change in the victim's impact. Employment is one of the biggest problems that our clients face just because of their background. We have a printout, and I can get a copy of this. It's a blemish record, job leads, and resources. This is a list of friendly, offender-friendly jobs that would be able to, willing to hire. We have called a lot of places around and asked, explained our program and asked if they'd be willing to hire some of our clients, and they have. So I can get a copy of this to anyone that needs it also. But we also, the Muscogee Nation now has started a TARO program, a Tribal Employment Rights Office. It's like a work bank. A job bank. Whenever they come in, they actually put their skills down, all their information. It goes into a data system. And when anyone calls and says, we need someone with these skills, they can be able to contact our clients or anyone that has applied for TARO and give out that information also. And TARO has actually given a couple of our clients, gotten them jobs. So, and they are working for the tribe. So I have one that's actually working for the Elderly Nutrition right now that delivers the food. So TARO has been a big help with finding employment for our clients. But we also try to utilize any services with the tribe as much as possible. So a lot of times with employment, we go through employment and training because they do have a program that helps, say a person wants to go and find a job. Employment and training a lot of times will pay for their very first 90 days of employment. So that way it builds that relationship, a good positive relationship with their employer. And so they can be able to be hired on after that. So we try to utilize any of our tribal resources before going out of the tribe with our clients. This guy actually in the picture too, he's one of our clients that was, I believe he was Sprint, another case manager. He was in for murder. And actually, he is still working, to my knowledge, in Texas. He went through education and training and went through some schooling and is now working. So he's doing very well. The barriers of employment is the felony conviction. It's one of the things that I hear all the time is that I'm stamped with something once I get out and I can't find a job. So that's the reason why we try to build communication between employers and our clients and the education or employment and training. The lack of experience and training that a lot of clients have once they are released, or the lack of adequate housing. A lot of them are spot jobbers, just do lawn care, little things here and there in order to get cash, which we know that's not going to pay for any bills. Or they have unstable family dynamic, or transportation is a big one for our clients. Have no license. Usually their license are revoked, especially if they go in for any kind of drug or alcohol abuse in the system. So our program does help for the reinstatement of license. It depends on the amount of it. We've paid up to about $700 for reinstating a person's license, and make sure that they do get all the necessary things that they need done for the DMV that was ordered from the court, any kind of counseling or assessments that are done. And we make sure that they do get those done. And we have medical limitations. I have a client right now that actually is she's like a 5-year-old. It's like dealing with a 5-year-old. Her past was huffing paint. So she has that barrier right there to where you can be able to talk to her, but you have to actually write it down and slowly communicate with her over and over and explain something to her. So that's one of the barriers that we face a lot of times, is because they do have that issue because of drug use. And that's when we go through voc rehab with the tribe. We will get them set up, because more than likely they are getting some kind of social security. They're getting some kind of disability. Our career development, we have our resume preparation. We do help them with a resume in our at the office. We used to actually have a program or a grant for a second chance grant, and that's what she just focused on. But now we're kind of teaming up with education and training, employment and training, and getting the resumes, make sure that those are done and properly done. We make sure that they have weekly job contacts we give on the sheet, and have them fill out, make sure that they're doing at least 5, 6, 7 jobs a week and contacts to see about employment. And we do hand down the list of offender-friendly employers. Public transportation is a problem, of course, so we do help, if they are in Tulsa, we do give them the bus tickets, so that way they can get back and forth to work. A lot of times, the smaller towns will have a CAT system, and it's a transit system. So we do provide CATS tickets. It's $1 one way and $1 back. So we do give the tickets out for that to be able to have transportation. Application for disability, we do make sure that they are set up if they do have a disability. Training and GED, we have actually worked with education and training to where they have agreed to come to our office. If we have more and more clients, they will actually come and help with the GED process. If we don't have at least 4 clients, they can be able to come down and help with that. we do get them because Muscogee, the Creek Nation does offer GED classes. So we make sure we get them at the trial.
What kind of training?
The training is if they are wanting to go to a community, like a college, we can go through education and training and get them set up with that. A lot of times the guys want to go through like welding or vocational school, culinary arts. A lot of times they want to go through that. So we do make sure that if that's something that they are wanting to do, we get with education and training and they get set up on that. I have actually a client right now that is going through the Muscogee Creek Nation College of Muscogee Nation, and she's done very well in it. She's been set up, and she was actually our client of the year. She has done so well.
But not like for associate's degree or something?
We can do associates of applied science, as long as it's a certification, like say 2 years of RN. You know, I can't go bachelor level RN because then you're dealing with higher ed. But it's everything you're hearing here is about the same for Cherokee Nation as well. But any type of thing that you have that's a certification, that workforce, the Workforce Investment Act would pay for is what we would pay for.
And actually, the facility, the transitional facility that we're about to build, it is going to have a training on site, and we are going to do welding. They can be able to get their certificate on site. And so we're excited about that. We went back and forth. We went back and forth on it on different things, automotive, but whenever we did the survey, a lot of them stated that they would like to do welding because they would be able to get more pay with welding, a welding certificate. So that is the one thing that we did decide on was welding. This is what we talked about earlier, the faith-based support inside the prison system. We have provided the Native American organization, like sweatgrass and sage and cedar rocks for the sweat lodges, sweetgrass, sorry, and the sweat lodges. Chubby Anderson is one of our case managers. He is out at the moment because of a stroke, but he was known for this right here, to make sure that he was there to do all the traditional ceremonies with them. And we have the white bison. We have several case managers right now that are able to do the white bison in the prison system. And we just want to make sure that they do have that available for them if they're asked.
So the detention facilities are open to these kinds of things?
Yeah, but Oklahoma can't afford to do all the things that the tribes can. So they welcome any of us to come in to offer any kind of programs with open arms because of the fact that there is no state-funded reentry programs in Oklahoma at all. Yeah, there's no money.
I ran into a snag trying to bring a lighter in for the sage and sweetgrass. So, can I do that? And I said, do you have a Catholic priest? Oh, yes. Does he bring a censer? Yes.
Yeah, now the chaplain would have to be something.
Yes, usually that's who we work with is the chaplains
Yeah.
in the prison systems, and we've not had a problem yet. We're even able to mail it to them.
It used to not be an issue anyway because they just now stopped smoking.
Yeah,
You know, so everybody had lighters anyway, but just now they took smoking down, so now would be a problem.
we've also held an art contest recently in the Bowley prison system, John Lilly facility. That you would be amazed at some of these artwork these people are capable of doing. We did like a first, second, third place, and you can't get actually money or hand them anything. So we did put some money on their books so they could be able to use it in the commissary. Or like the last one, we just gave them bottle pop. And that right there is a treat for them. are some of the prizes. So we try to communicate and get in with the prison system as much as possible of holding events. So that way our citizens can be able to have something.
We have in Oklahoma the IBH, which is the Indian Brotherhood, and they control a lot, whereas, in some states, say like Arkansas, the gangsters or the folks are the majority of the gangsters in other states, whereas in Oklahoma, the IBH has such a huge presence that they are just as equal to any of the other gangs. These groups that we bring in get to really influence the way that these guys handle their decisions amongst themselves. We had one fellow that was in charge of 400 other inmates. And they come to him, he in turn goes to these Medicine Wheel, White Buffalo meetings, gets wisdom and knowledge and different things that he can pass on, and some of the decisions that are going to be made that are going to end up either a killing, a truce, get it worked out, but these programs are able to influence some of these other guys' decisions when they go back into the yard over a lot of folks. It's healthy.
Another thing that we do is advocacy, court and parole hearings. Whenever they do come up for parole, we do go, as long as they are in level 3 or 4 level in the prison system, we can be able to go and advocate for them with the parole board. And I've been up a couple of times, and it's nice to hear the parole board speak so highly of our program and be able to do letters, actually orders stating that the person can be released as long as they are released to our program and they complete the program. Because that's one of the things that we do make sure that they do, is they attend any probation appointments that for their parole officers if they have that. We also have a juvenile prevention. We have a youth side of our program that he just deals with youth only. He does the speak out tours with them. We have some clients that are willing to be able to speak with the children and tell them exactly how it is in the prison systems, because a lot of times kids look at it as, I'm not going to get in trouble. I can do this, and I'm young, so I'm not really going to get anything. I'm going to get slapped on the hand or something like that, and that's going to be it. But we do try to do our speak out tours with that. One of the things that our juvenile specialist does is he goes and does the impaired vision in the schools. We purchased a golf cart, and we have what they call beer goggles, and we set up the cones, and we let the children go through the steps of driving through as if they were drunk. And I can honestly say I'm not able to pass that thing. I have tried it several times, but the kids really like that, and it opens them up and it lets them be able to see exactly how it is without going out there and actually doing it. We also do, sorry, I kind of got lost. Legal aid. Our attorney right now at the office, his name is Michael Reintegration. He is the one and only attorney for a tribal reintegration attorney. He is in with legal aid, but he is actually stationed at our office in Henrietta. And anytime our clients come in, they first come to us, they do the intake, then we send them to Michael, so that way he can go through and make sure that they don't have any warrants on them, because if so, he calls the court systems to see if we can get something worked out. We go, he goes and does fines, fees, child support. A lot of our clients, when they come out, they do have child support. And that's the one thing that they will put a warrant out for you, is if you have that child support and you're not paying it. So he does help with that. I like how he says it's pretty much a debtor's prison is how he states it, because whenever they do come out, they have fines, like thousands of fines to be able to pay. And a lot of them can't afford it. I mean, it may be just $50 here, but if they have 3 or 4 counties that they're having to pay, they're not going to be able to afford this. So our attorney does go in and try to get with the judge to see the lowest possible amount. And also the attorney right now with my client, the lady I said has the disability, and he is trying right now to do the Section 8 hearing. Is that Section 8 hearing is what he is trying to get with her right now to be able to waive those fees because she is unable to pay these. The only thing she gets is SSI. We do the prison tours. This is open to anyone. A lot of times we've had people from the school come in, teachers, we've had employees come in and do the prison tours, take them and let them see exactly what's going on inside the prison system. Because a lot of them are blind to it. They think that, people go in, they stay in for a little bit and go out. That's all they know about prison. So we do the prison tours so that way they can see exactly what's going on and what we do inside the prison system. We have a service payback. When participants are between jobs, they are asked to volunteer their time and skills in helping others. Here recently, we had the city of Henrietta call us up and ask if we could have some clients redo and paint the rodeo grounds. So we took some clients out there, had them clean up everything at the rodeo grounds. They repainted everything. That gets them back into society with a positive outlook and for everyone else to look at them, that they are trying. We did the tornado cleanup in Joplin. We had a group of people go over and help with that. The fire victims, we took up donations. We have our clients help with everything. We went and cooked food for the for Manford to be able to get clothing, food, and we had a ton of things donated to the program. And actually, there's a beautification project that the city of Henrietta is now starting up, and we have a few that are on the board that are in our office that are trying to help get in good communication with the city. Because it's one of the things that a lot of times people see reintegration. They think you're bringing felons into our town. That's exactly what they think. So with the beautification projects, this shows that just because a person's been in prison, don't mean they need to be stamped for life. They have accountability that they have to abide by. These are the rules that they sign and they have to work towards. They have to be able to cause no malice towards any of the departments within the Cherokee Nation, keep appointments and be on time, and they are to give a status update to their case managers. So usually we have them contact us, be in contact with us at least once a week, letting us know any updates that they may have. They can't have any kind of negative reports. They need to be good stewards of the program assistance, and the living conditions must be kept neat and clean. It's one of the things that they do sign stating that we are able to come into the places that they are staying and that we provide for them, that because there's no alcohol allowed in the housing, because we're housing them. So we can go and do house checks, make sure that they are keeping a clean house, and we do random drug tests also on them. So that way they do not, especially if they have a probation officer that they have to go to. At the reintegration program, we decrease criminal involvement in a group not normally reached by the traditional interventions in the community, simultaneously rehabilitating our citizens and offer protection to the public through rehabilitation and providing alternatives to reincarceration. That's one of the things that we strive to the public is everyone that's getting out, they're going to get out if we're helping them or not. This right here provides a stable environment for them. It helps them to where they can be able to get back on their feet and they're not going back into the illegal activities as they once were. And does anyone have any questions?
How do you identify your clients?
They have to be able to have a DOC number for one. Not all of them come out of the department or out of prison systems, but if they are, if they have a DOC number or doing DOC time, they can come through the program. They have to be enrolled in Creek also.
Have to be enrolled through?
Creek. They have to be a Creek
Oh,
citizen.
Have a
CID
card?
card, yes, a citizenship card. And we do contact the citizenship to make sure that they are enrolled.
So are you proactive? Do you identify these people or do they apply to you? How do you?
Actually both. A lot of times it's word of mouth, they come in the program, but we also go into the prison systems and do our presentations and take intakes. So that way we can get that group of Creek citizens. So we've set up at health fairs that they've done in the prison systems.
What about the clients who have been represented by a public defender or a private attorney? How does that attorney relationship work? Is it over? Are they included in the process?
No, they're included in the process. We do encourage that if they have that we keep in contact. We do make sure legally, we make sure everything's signed so that way the communication can be with each other. But yes, we do have to keep their attorneys. It's just our attorney works with that attorney.
They have such a presence in the Department of Corrections that they also, on their intake form, identify Cherokees, and then they'll send the intake form to us, and then we go from there. We just don't have the paid staff to be able to send counselors and different representation from Cherokee Nation into the prisons until we have a set-level program like what they have. Like I say about the ONAR, there is no competitive nature within the tribes about reentry. We are one-minded, and the Creek has, Chickasaws too, paved the way for other tribes to be able to put together programs because they have numbers to back up their successes, nationally recognized. I applaud them. The Chickasaws is just as good a program as any that there is as well. They have a 15-bed apartment complex that they purchase for their participants as well. They automatically put them on payroll, temporary full-time, making, I think, $8.96 an hour as soon as they get out. Full-time, 40 hours a week, and they do projects as well as what the Creeks do. So within Cherokee Nation, our Coming Home program, I operate on $20,000 a year. And with that $20,000 a year, I was able to, as soon as they get out, give them the $250 for clothes. If they're totally homeless, I'm able to secure them a motel only if they're eligible for Cherokee Nation housing. Because if you're a registered sex offender, I'm not going to spend my whole $20,000 keeping you in a motel for, say, 12 weeks, and then all of a sudden we're just defeated on getting you housing. The things that will prevent you from housing in the state of, or in the Cherokee Nation, if you've been convicted of selling drugs, you have 5 years reprieve that you have to wait and not get in trouble again before we can get you accepted into housing. If you're a registered sex offender, I cannot put you in Cherokee Nation housing. If you've committed arson, I cannot put you in Cherokee Nation housing. There's no timeline on those. Those are bans, but if it's a drug conviction, we have to wait at least 5 years from the conviction. So let's say you're doing a 10-year sentence. You've done 6 of that. When you get out, you're eligible. It don't go from the day you're released. It goes from date of conviction. I've been incarcerated 3 times, 94, 95, 96, 2000, 2001, twice in Arkansas, once in Oklahoma, for multiple drug offenses. Whenever I got out in 2001, Cherokee Nation sent me back to college to become a vocational rehabilitation counselor. I graduated, Cherokee Nation recruited me, I went to work. 3 years later, I became director of all the vocational training programs. As I was director of the programs, I noticed that on our application for services, one of the barriers to getting help was to be an ex-offender. I was invited to the Chickasaw Nation to a reentry meeting back in, I think, 2007 or 8. And when I was there to take the place of somebody else that was supposed to speak. So whenever I got there, it was at the old train depot in Ardmore. I was able to speak, but I didn't know that we had a reentry program. Well, we didn't. So what I was able to do was come back and network all the programs together that had a piece of reentry. We put together a flyer, we call it Coming Home, and then whenever we get out, I use my employment counselors because they're going to be the counselors anyway, helping them get a job and helping them get a vocation, as to help them map themselves to the maze with referrals. We got the behavioral health, we do the life skills, we do the GED, we do everything that was present on this thing under career services at Cherokee Nation, except we did not have a standalone program of reentry that's paid for. The only thing I have is service dollars. But y'all, with that $20,000 that I had last year to be able to help 49 individuals stay out of prison out of 51 is a remarkable numbers. We've carried such clout, I've been able, I know everybody's heard of Jailbirds. It's a little newspaper article that comes out every month to show everybody's picture that comes out in the paper,
Oh, yeah.
their charges. Anyway, we had a female sex offender that we trained, and this was before the actual reentry program started. But we were able to train her, get her clothes. We were actually able to hire her as a clerk, and she works in our department at Cherokee Nation. We was actually able to get her removed. Every once in a while, she's been there about 6 or 7 years. Every once in a while, they periodically put her picture back in the paper, back in the paper, back in the paper. It's so demeaning. And if you know the story of her, she wasn't like a baby raper or a serial rapist. She was poor and couldn't defend herself. And she was taking care of a kid that was getting abused, and she hit her out. And that girl actually wrote a letter on her behalf, but the court would not hear it. And so they convicted her of whatever the crime, I forgot the nature of the crime, but it was for juvenile. But anyway, they are still in contact, and that girl told me the whole story of how the dad did it to the woman because he was mad because she was hiding her out. But he was whipping her excessively with belts and whatever else he could do. And she said, "I'd do it again today." Go through the same stuff I went through today. The jailbirds, because of our clout that we have in the state, stopped running the paper. The state's Attorney General office also removed her from the register list. So I think that's a success. Here's a situation we have in Oklahoma. There's a guy at a party that took a pack of marbles, and the Creeks are working with this individual. He threw it like this and hit a lady across her breast, and now he's a registered sex offender for aggravated sexual assault. Pack of marbles. That's how crazy it is in Oklahoma and the stuff that we deal with. Being tough on crime is good in theory. The residual effect is that we have all these tribes having to invest thousands, if not millions of dollars into making these folks better citizens when they get out. Because once they go, the things that they learn while they're in incarceration is totally corrupted, and they have to be retrained, reprogrammed basically, excuse me, whenever they get out. So like I say, being tough on crime, yeah, but not all crime. You know, the 16-year-old that married the 19-year-old, they have 3 kids together. The dad gets angry. He has to register as a sex offender. They're still married. That was 11 years ago, and they're still married today. We have a Native American female in Oklahoma right now doing 12 years for this much marijuana in a baggie. about 1/8 of an ounce. Where we have a connecting state that's already made $24 million this year, having legalized marijuana, lowered their incarceration rate, lowered their violent crime rate, lowered their overdose rate for Oxycontin. The mentality of different states, the laws of the different states, I'm not going to get into political views, but human life is way more valuable than incarceration. And because it's not just incarceration, guys, it's the things that you have to go through when you get out to actually be able to become a productive citizen. Because you carry the name felon. You know what? We're all felons in this room. I'm a convicted felon. We've all done stuff in our past that could have got us in major trouble. We've all done petty stuff in the past that could have got us in major trouble if you lived in Oklahoma. Recently I was honored by the White House as a champion of change. Received an award from President Obama for my efforts on reentry to employment. It shouldn't take this much to reform people when they get out. The things that we go through, the last 10 years there were $550 million in grants available. It's the tail wagging the dog, definitely tail wagging the dog. If we took that money and reinvested into these folks for preventative actions, we wouldn't have to be so reactive in all of our decisions. We're dealing with GED level correctional officers. Some probably don't have a GED, getting paid $11.50 an hour to in an understaffed environment, having to staff extremely violent criminals. I think if you're a violent criminal, you don't need to be on the streets. I think that if not ever, but I'm saying if you've committed a violent, heinous crime, I'm pro-incarceration, but I'm also for alternative sentencing for those that are not violent and heinous crimes. I'm for the reclassification of sex offenses. When you go to an employer, they don't understand level 1, level 2, level 3. They see in Oklahoma you have to put SO on your driver's license if you're a registered sex offender. Then it takes folks like us to have to go in and advocate for them on their behalf, offer incentive programs. We do the work experience as well, where we pay their first 12 weeks of salary. We have an OJT program, which is a reimbursement of half their salary for a training period. We have to offer all these incentive programs in order to get people actually employed, just because they might have had a girlfriend. I think in Texas it's called the Romeo and Juliet law, where if you're both underage when you start dating, and let's say one's 16, one's 18, and then you turn 19 and the other one's 17, you kind of grandfather in the Romeo and Juliet law. I don't think we have that here in Oklahoma. I think it's automatically statutory rape under 18 years old. And sometimes I'll just spat out stats like that just to get you to start thinking about stuff. Definitely we're passionate about what we do. This ain't, it definitely ain't hauling hay. It's something you come to work every day and love your job. It's probably the hardest job in the world. I don't think President Obama could get a job for a sex offender. It takes a lot of work. The federal government puts out initiatives, the states don't have to follow them. But to be able to go out and advocate for somebody and to carry that much clout, and to give people actually a chance to redeem themselves is the most rewarding feeling you can actually feel. If you have a chance to look up the REDEEM Act, it's a bipartisan bill that they're trying to pass that will allow, after 10 years being a felon, to get your records actually sealed. That way you don't have to check the yes box anymore. There's an initiative about ban the box. I don't agree with ban the box to 100%. I think it's important to be able, if you work at a hospital, to be able to ask somebody applying if you're a registered sex offender, if you've committed a violent or heinous crime. I think that there's an appropriateness to it. But I don't think that working at McDonald's, you should have to check the box. I don't think that you should have to check the box working at a casino, especially on the golf courses and on the grounds of the maintenance crews. the Chickasaws down at
Windstar?
Windstar has one of the nicest golf courses I've ever played on. And whenever I came back to our meeting, they were like, yeah, and everybody was so polite. And it was almost over polite. But everybody was so courteous and polite. And whenever I came back, Ron Parker, he told me, he said, yeah, that's where we replace our ex-offenders. Here in Cherokee Nation, you're not even allowed on the premises. You know, unless you're spending money in gambling, then you're allowed. but not to work, do dishes, pick flowers out of the flower bed. So we're still trying to change the mentality of our own folks. So far, we've went and appealed to the Gaming Commission. We've gotten 7 folks with felonies placed here, but it's taken too much effort, too much time. Well, we just need to, like I say, I like the term in there, re-educate the educated, and to buy into the same thought processes that we have. That's about what we have right now. If y'all have any questions, you can ask anything, personal, professional, whatever. Sometimes I get some crazy questions.
Just to kind of add in on that, I'm from North Dakota and I work for Legal Services in North Dakota. We're also probably affiliated with, we're an LSC funded program also. One of the things that I do a lot of juvenile work, and that's what we're here for, to try to figure out a different way to establish a traditional court within our system. But just to kind of add on to when there's restrictions, I didn't realize until about 2 years ago when an applicant came in, and he actually had a family in Canada, but he was enrolled in a North Dakota tribe. But he had a record stemming out of South Dakota, and I want to say it was Kansas. And because of that record that was in the 80s, something was implemented within the boundaries, and he wasn't able to cross into Canada because of it was a DUI offense. So he's facing those restrictions as well, where he can't go see his family, he can't be with his girlfriend or his child because of those restrictions. And in order to get that lifted, it's about a 2-year process where they have to have the FBI background check, just to show that he was rehabilitated, even though he hasn't had any convictions after that. And just seeing as if I'm that person trying to be rehabilitated and you're feeling that frustration, I just kind of think about when does that client become overwhelmed and just give up and say forget it. And that probably happens a lot.
It does. It definitely does. I would like to see all the tribes develop their own tribal pardon, because I think that if the states would look at what they've done within their own tribe, and then if that's good enough for the tribe to come up with a pardon, then maybe it would influence some of the governors, because guys, not every Cherokee is a millionaire. They can make a $10,000 charitable contribution to a campaign in order to get a pardon.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those things are bought and paid for. And then especially expungement, I think in Oklahoma it takes 7 years or 5 years once you've received a pardon to begin applying for an expungement. You know, crazy thing, I couldn't vote forever until last November. 2 years ago, I could have ran for the governor of the state of Oklahoma, but I couldn't vote. So it's 7 years removed from your felony, you can actually run for governor, but I just now got my voting rights back.
And just another added thing on that as well, what we're facing in North Dakota is because of our oil boom. You know, we're number 2 in the nation for oil-producing countries. We're having 19-year-olds or 18, 19-year-olds who can't get a job on the local reservations because in Turtle Mountain alone, we face an 86% poverty unemployment rate. So they're traveling and leaving, and you talked about learning things in prison. They're learning these things on the ground in the oil country. An 18-year-old making $150,000 a year, and we're putting them right in, away from home, in with cartels, with drug smuggling, prostitution. I mean, we have strippers making $4,000 a day in the man camps, and it's just, it's an overwhelming problem that we are seeing about 3 hours away up on the Turtle Mountain Reservation and slowly coming. And now we're seeing our kids just greatly when they just learn to see, and now we're having 12-year-olds smoking meth and injecting.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable what we're seeing in the last 6 months. And we have no resources for rehab, anything like that, because we're already overwhelmed in the court system. And then we actually had an opportunity to sit down with one of our local detention centers. It was not a place where we wanted to see our kids, but it was better than them going to Utah or South Dakota. So Newtown opened it up for our state, and they are being able to do sweats. They are being able to get counseling, get their GED program. So when you talk about collaboration, if they require that incarceration to take care of that charge, we're also looking at that program to try to do a wraparound, get their driver's license, get them into Job Corps, make them look at there's a future when they leave out and that this sentence isn't following them. So you have to think outside that box constantly.
Let me ask you this, is that a peacemaking court that are making these decisions on?
No, we don't have that. We actually, within our tribal court system, we just have juvenile court, and we had to reach out to that detention facility, go see where our kids were being placed, and actually see what programs were offered, and work with them, so while they're in there, maybe on a 3-month sentence, we can look at them getting their GED because they haven't been in school for the last 2 years. Help them get clean. And also, it was amazing to see what services were offered there that we had no idea about, because we can't offer those on our reservation. But we were able to sit down with them because it's a constant shock when you're going into court. We're rushing 20 kids a day through, which is huge for us. And then you have a pre-trial following the next week. You have 4 days to get it ready for a pre-trial, and then just keep going. And that's just one thing he does, plus his doing adult arraignments also in trials.
And civil.
And civil.
We have quite a system, but we don't have the resources. We have a really good workforce. We're very understaffed. I held upwards to 2,800 adult criminal cases last year, and in the hundreds with juveniles. And plus, I held civil. There's just 2 judges. We don't have our jail. My mother was chief judge of our tribe in the 60s, and I was a little tiny guy. Well, I don't want to say how old I am, but it's quite a while ago. But in like 1964, I was like 11, 12 years old and playing in that jail. We had the same jail. Nothing's changed, and it's small. It's got bars, cement floors, metal beds, it's just all really old. And we send our guys in there, there's so many in there, all they can do is twiddle their thumbs all day. It's not helping anybody. And so we're trying to be creative. We're sending some of our guys to adult men to like Casper when they had that program there. It worked really well. It was a reentry program. I'd say, let's see, 80% of the guys that return from there, they just stop. They're doing well, but we need something like that in our area, and we're not blessed with a big city with casinos or, it's sparsely populated up in North Dakota, and we just don't have the resource. We don't have the money. We have the people that have a lot of knowledge that are able to help, but we just don't have the facilities. That's pretty much what's going on. And she's right, about meth. In Newtown, we might have, how many have got in there now? Long-term, 9 kids? They're all meth users. There's 12-year-olds in detention that are using meth regularly. And it's not an isolated case. It's pretty much standard what we're seeing. When we get a juvenile in our system, we automatically test them. Bring them for clearance to the hospital, we check them, and we find out. But it's because of the changes up in North Dakota with the oil industry and fracking and all these man camps. And, Fort Berthold has the same issues as Turtle Mountain. I think Fort Houghton is starting to
But
see
even-
those things reach them, Standing Rock.
And even North Dakota, we're the 11th international for human trafficking. Because it's just unbelievable and no one anticipated. We get all the money, we get the jobs. Everyone's coming from the lower states to come up, but no one anticipated what it was going to cause in that community, in the state. No
And-
one.
And we all see it. I'm sorry we weren't able to be here for the full, we had some business to work out with the court back home. But I'm really interested in reentry for our juveniles. I've seen that it works for adults, and I know that our juveniles need it more than our adults. And I'm just stuck. You know, you talk about, you said, do we have a peacemaking court? We don't have an established one, but we're doing that work already.
Right, it's not called peacemaking, but what you're doing is the alternative sense.
Yeah, alternative sentencing, being creative. We've got all kinds of things going on. And I just need to, you know, one of the things I'm looking at is, you know, what type of organic documents do you have where you work or that you work with that we could look at? You know, that establishes, you know, any changes to your code, that embraces that concept, some language. You know, it wouldn't take me much to do that myself, but why recreate the wheel when you've already got it, you know, you're already rolling.
I have to give you information to our youth specialists also,
Okay.
because on the youth side, they are also able to not only just do the speak outs to them, or mentor, but they're able to actually spend it all so for all those things. But we do go to the schools, and you don't have to be a Creek citizen to be able to get the mentoring. Sometimes, like our special he's just out at the school, and he will just sit there and speak with children, and they're not Creek citizens. But our Creek citizens are amongst everyone else, so it helps if we can be able to provide that part of the services for everyone.
I like the idea about the prisons. We tried to do a tour, and for whatever reason, that was something they didn't want to do. And I thought that it would be beneficial to see that this is where I'm at, because kids are shocked when they go to jail. I mean, it looks exactly like our state prison. And you're showering amongst your peers, and you're using that toilet amongst everybody, and you're not being fed well. And I thought that it would be good for at least some of these children to see, you know, as a deterrence. But our prisons weren't so open for that. And I think I'm just going to take a different approach, just to taking a group of kids. But I like that you guys incorporated that, because just that shock value sometimes is good enough. And then I liked how you mentioned the fact about you're using your legal services person because you're getting a kid or an adult that's probably can use maybe a social security disability and get those other services. So it's really to me, it's like a wraparound program that you have to be successful.
All right, we're just about out of time, but I would give you the chance to introduce Daryl, but the two presentations seem to overlap and complement each other a lot, and I'm sure that both Carrie and Daryl are still going to make themselves available if we have any additional questions. This has really facilitated some really great discussion, and although, you know, there isn't a quote-unquote peacemaking aspect to this reentry program, the importance of having a reentry panel here is that, you know, in order for the community to heal itself, even, you know, before, during, and after incarceration, you know, you need to ensure that those who are incarcerated are able to re-enter the community. And I think that's a really important part to not only reduce recidivism, but to also promote community healing. And so this session has been really important for that reason, and that's why we wanted to have a session on reintegration. And I thank you both for being able to come here and present.